I've traveled to Mexico a bunch of times since the show's been on, over the last 20 years. And wherever I travel, I always have people come up to me, but especially in Mexico, who love Malcolm. They love the family, they love the show. And everybody really was excited about it. We knew that Eric didn't want to be a part of it from the beginning, but he always gave his blessing for us to remake the show. You know what I mean? So everybody else is back. He's the only one who's not. But he always, obviously loved being a part of the show, but he's worked hard to kind of focus on other things and stay out of the spotlight. And obviously we want to honor his wishes, and that's what we're doing. I mean, yeah, obviously, ideally we would have all the original cast. One thing I can share is the kid who they hired to play Dewey. You're gonna think is Dewey.
It's identical. It's identical. Yeah. It's identical.
You're gonna believe it's Dewey. Definitely very different. I literally raced last night in North Carolina. We had a little bit of an issue, but the thing that I really love about racing is it's not subjective, right? You're either good or you're not. It's not like, as an actor, I could put in the hardest work and think I did the best job ever, and you all see it and go, it was okay, right? Racing's not subjective, so I like that. But being an actor, I've acted over the last, since the show ended, I've done things here and there, but even, we started refilming the Malcolm reboot last week, and being back on set, I do feel really comfortable and at home being an actor, and sometimes it takes stepping away to realize how much you do love it and enjoy it, which is allowing me to put in the best effort I can to hopefully make the show really good. Just in the last month, called Renner, I played the character Renner, and I developed an AI, and it's kind of a precautionary tale. I don't know if you can call it that.
Yeah. What would happen?
Yeah, what could happen? Because no matter who programs the AI, there's going to be pieces of that person in the AI, right? Like whether it be bias about certain things or not. I don't know if I'm translating that. But personally, I hate technology. You know what I mean? Although I use it, right? So even AI, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But I find myself, asking it questions, and I'm like, wow, gave a really good answer. The other day I was like, if I'm a NASCAR driver and I'm racing tomorrow, what should I eat tonight to prepare for the race? And it gave me this perfect answer. I'm like, okay, it's pretty awesome. I only know what it's like to be me, right? So I don't know what my life would have been if I wasn't a child actor, right? I appreciate all the opportunity it gave me, and I don't question for a second that I wish I was normal. Does that make sense? Where I just went to school or whatever. I had a really positive experience as a child actor. You hear a lot of stories of people going down the wrong path. My experience in Hollywood was always 100% positive. That said, it's not a business I want my 4-year-old son to go into, you know what I mean? And I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's more of there's way more rejection as an actor than there is, getting the role. Yeah. There's millions of people trying to do it, and I think it's almost like winning the lottery initially. You have to be at the right place at the right time, and the right person pick you, and then you got to do a good job when you get that opportunity. Yeah. But it's really like winning the lottery. But your second question about characteristics of Malcolm that maybe came with me. I didn't realize this until maybe 5 years ago. My wife had never seen any of the show, and we were watching it together because I hadn't watched it either, right? Yeah. And we watched all 151 episodes, and she looked at me and she goes, "You weren't acting at all." That is you. Filming Malcolm, 20 years later, because I've done a lot of acting in between, but I'm so comfortable playing Malcolm because it really is just. I don't know what I can give away. What I can say is the old audience of Malcolm will love it, right? Because you're gonna see the characters that you grew up, you're gonna see the family, you're gonna see the same craziness, of that family. There's a lot of new characters that they're introducing in this new reboot that are, call it younger, right? Which maybe will help either new people to find the show or the younger audience to relate with. Because obviously, like Malcolm, I'm 39 years old, So obviously, when you remake a show that was so beloved, there is a pressure to have it be at the level it was previously. So I think there is pressure, but it is all the original writers, the creators involved. He wrote it. He's there every day on set. The original director, all the cast. So I think people will be happy. I hope. The one thing that I hope people aren't disappointed with is that it was originally kind of sold as a 2-hour movie. So it's really like one storyline for 2 hours that they are calling 4 episodes. But that's all it is. There's not going to be any more. So I hope people accept the fact that it's just going to be a little short reboot and that's it. I also remember thinking, what is the family up to, right? What is Malcolm up to? What has he accomplished? Where do they have kids? Do they have this? And the possibilities when you start thinking of it are really endless, right? And it's weird knowing what the answer is now. Now it's not like a question. I know where Malcolm is and what he's been doing. So it's kind of cool. Favorite episode? I want to rewatch them again because the older I get, I see different things, different comedy, and now that I'm a dad too, in how Lois's character is and stuff. But I've always named 3. The roller skates episode from season 1, the bowling episode. I don't know, maybe that's season 2 or 3.
Season 2, I think.
Maybe 3. I don't know. And then there was an episode called Malcolm's Girlfriend, where you never see her face, but he falls in love with the girl and she breaks up with him and he's crying on the ground. I don't know why. Those are just the 3 that always stick with me that I love. I'll say this: there's talks that they're remaking Days of Thunder, like the NASCAR movie with Tom Cruise.
No.
If they remake that and I'm not in it, I'll be so mad. But typically, when you are in those movies, they don't let you do the driving, right? They don't let you do any of the stunts. I mean, Tom Cruise gets to do it because
Tom Cruise.
But for the most part, they hire stunt drivers, and that was making that too. I think the only similarity, well, there's 2. Most kids who start racing, even the kids who I call them kids because they're 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, right? I was racing last night. They've never been interviewed, they don't know how to answer questions, and so that's one thing I could take as an actor. I've done that my whole life, right? So I think I'm decent at it. The other similarity is, as an actor, you have to perform in the moment. You know what I mean? And as a race car driver, when the green flag goes, you've got to go, right? The difference is you don't get a take 2 in a race car, right? And usually when you mess up, you're gonna be hurting. Whereas an actor, you mess up a line, you just start over. It was honestly, because they never show it, right?
No, they never show it.
It was nothing. It was just a lot of paint. Think of just throwing paint at its wall, and that's what it was. But it was really thick, but it was foam, and they had the paint on the outside when it collapses and it falls on it. But there was no image. So it's whatever you want it to be. A beautiful drawing of Hermosillo. I don't know if we'll see any more Malcolm in the Middle, but that doesn't mean that there might not be more that comes from this version of Malcolm in the Middle. If that makes sense. But Patrick, what am I allowed to say?
Yeah.
People have to watch it and like it, and then we'll see.
Muchas gracias a todos por